Good evening. Welcome to PoliticIt podcast. Tonight we have Bronson Kaufusi. Nice to have you, Bronson. And you know your story's fascinating. To start with, let's let the audience learn a little bit about you. So you played football at BYU, right?
Yes, that's
So
correct.
let's talk about what happened after BYU.
Yeah. So I went to BYU, played basketball for 1 year and football. So I kind of got a little mixed there. And then I got drafted to the Baltimore Ravens in the third round and went there and played defensive end. And then from there, I went to the New York Jets, played there for a few years. And then from there, I went to the Green Bay Packers
That's
and
cool.
played for a year. And I moved from defense to offense in the middle of it towards the end there.
So that worked out pretty well for you.
Yeah, I did actually. It's actually returning home to my original position because I started out as a tight end, and not a lot of people really know that. And when I went to BYU, I played defensive end because at my high school we didn't use a tight end, but at all the camps I'd played tight end. So kind of interesting how it went full circle for me.
So you moved to offense then.
I moved to offense.
That's cool. And so you probably got to know Aaron Rodgers in that process.
Oh yeah, he's an incredible athlete. One of the greatest teammates I've ever had.
Really?
Just because, he treats you, like a brother, like family, and it's so cool to be in there and watch him coach people up and teach, different things about what makes him great. And he's just an open book and willing to share. So it was really neat to be there with him.
That's cool. So now he's moved on from Green Bay now, right?
Yeah.
And it's interesting because he's going to run into another BYU player, right?
Yeah. Zach Wilson. So yeah, they're in New York together, and it's a great opportunity just because when I think about it, I was there with Aaron and then Jordan Love from Utah State. And it was awesome to see Aaron Rodgers mentor Jordan Love and the progress that he made. And so it's going to be really neat to see him do the same thing with Zach Wilson.
Yeah, a lot of people that I talked to, they said, "Well, Zach, that's too bad for him." And I thought, no, that's not too bad at all, right?
The best thing ever.
Right, because that'll really make Zach, I think, a great quarterback.
I agree.
And he's still got a long career.
Yeah, he has a really long career, honestly. And so to be able to be there with someone who's, gonna be in the Hall of Fame, I mean,
right.
You can't ask for anything better than that.
I just remember, and this is something that I was thinking about when I was a kid. I mean, Bart Starr was the quarterback at Green Bay, and I just always thought that was the greatest team of all times in football, right? And I would imagine, did you feel kind of surreal when you went to Green Bay?
Definitely, because I had just come from the New York Jets, and they were in a rebuilding phase, rebuilding the culture, bringing the right guys in, and I show up at Green Bay, and I was just completely blown away by how every player there is bought in fully to win a Super Bowl. And you're walking around, and on the walls they have the different stories about the Green Bay Packers and the different players and the different games, that you read about in like all the different football history books. And it's so interesting because I remember when it started to get a little bit colder, and you start to think, okay, Green Bay loves the cold, and you start to see why, because they practice outside every day, and they have the largest heated field in the world. And so you learned about this culture, and you just love it. The fans are incredible. I really liked how when you come to a game at Lambeau, the players where you go and drive in at, the street or the path right there is lined with fans. And I've never seen that before with a professional sports venue, where the fans are lined and they're just waving and saying hi to you, and they're watching you drive into the private parking. And everywhere I went to in Green Bay, just people just love you and appreciate you, and it's such a special place. Championship culture for sure.
Yeah. So were you in the Super Bowl?
No, I wasn't, but
Oh.
I just love how that culture, I could tell like everyone was there every day to win. Some places you go, it's like guys forget, about why they're there, and they just want to get a paycheck. But when you go to a place like Green Bay, it's everyone's bought
So
it.
you felt different there than the other venues that you were at.
Definitely. And it was all over too. It was really interesting. I felt like, top down, everyone wanted to win, and that locker room, everyone was so close. When we would lose a game, it was like, everyone just kind of felt it like in a family. Like if you were going through a struggle in a family,
Right.
it was, and I love that culture just because that's how you win.
One of the interesting things about you, I found out while we were talking, is when most football players in college don't go after hard majors,
Yeah.
right? And I found out you were a stat major,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So what took you into statistics?
Well, it kind of goes back to high school, I would say, when I took the ACT. And when I got my score back, my highest score and rating was in math. And so I thought that was interesting. So then I come back to BYU after a church mission, and I'm trying to figure out like what to.
So where was that mission?
Oh yeah, I served in Auckland, New Zealand.
Oh, that's cool.
So yeah, it was really cool, so fun, lots of rugby, lots of sheep, of course, down there in New Zealand.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just was back from my mission and trying to think, what am I going to do? What really do I love? And I realized I love numbers. And the reason why is because you can use them to figure out things, and that's the truth. Numbers can tell a story. And so as I was taking different finance and business classes and all these different things, because I originally wanted to go into business, finance, and then I saw the stats major with the emphasis in analytics, and I was like, that is cool. I'm going to do that. It was hard though, because I was trying to catch up and graduate in December. And so if I graduated in December, that means I would be in school for 18 months straight. So I kind of had this like vision of, if I can take enough classes, I can graduate in December with my wife, who was graduating as well. And so I ended up taking.
So you got married while you were at BYU?
I got married too. She was a soccer player.
Oh, really?
So she was playing soccer, and I was playing, on the football team, basketball team at the time. And so, yeah, we met at one of those athlete parties where
did you?
all the athletes get together. And I think it's like, hey, the athletes can meet each other, and maybe their kids will come to BYU when they're older. So fell for that trap. And yeah.
So do you have kids then?
Yeah, I got 2 little kids. I got a little 4-year-old little boy. His name's Taika. And then my little girl, she's almost 2 years old, and her name's Kalea. So yeah, they're so fun. So
I asked you this before, but I thought it was kind of unique, the answer to it. Where'd you get the name Bronson? Where did that come from?
Yeah. So my dad moved from Tonga when he was 8 years old, and he used to watch a lot of cowboy movies. And Charles Bronson was where I heard the name for the first time. And so he loved the name, and it means son of the brown-skinned one. And my dad being from Tonga, it was a good fit. So I don't meet a lot of Bronsons out there.
No,
Yeah.
you hear that as a last name some, but
Yeah.
right. Well, that's cool though.
Yeah.
Yeah. So your latest venture now?
Yeah. I mean, I do a lot of different things, but I love being a part of Dirty Dough and popping those up for passive investors. It's really fun, and I think I love the message of Dirty Dough. I think that's the main thing I love about it.
So what is that? What is that message?
Yeah, the message is, no matter how messy life gets, it's what's on the inside that counts. And so what's so cool about Dirty Dough is, with every Dirty Dough that goes up, they build a wellness center at a school nearby, and they have different things in there for kids to go in and kind of help them to recognize, their feelings, help them with their mental health. And it's just I love that, because it's so needed in today's day and age with social media and different things. And so to have that be the the message of Dirty Dough, I just fell in love with it.
That's really cool. And so, have you utilized this love of analytics?
Oh, definitely. I feel like I use it all the time. With Dirty Dough, yes, looking at different customer data for sure. I'm also part of a real estate firm, Harris Investment Group, and it's very useful as far as doing comps within the different markets that our apartment complexes and gas stations are at. And it's just everywhere, honestly.
So are you actually utilizing that to decide where you're going to put a Dirty Dough franchise?
Yes, and I actually did the research and study on 12th Street in Ogden, and it was so interesting to me, all the numbers and different things, because I had heard 12th Street is just a great location for businesses, and I was like, okay, I've heard this from multiple people and owners of businesses and managers in the area. So I said, well, the numbers would have to match if that's the story. And so I went in and dove into all the numbers, and it was so interesting because, you go into traffic counts, you go into time waiting at a light, you go into other businesses in the area, all different types of things and numbers that are fun to kind of
So
come up with.
where are you at exactly on 12th Street then?
So I guess people are really familiar with Jersey Mike's on 12th Street. So we're right next to Jersey Mike's.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of parking there.
There's a lot of
which
parking.
is hard in some of the other places there, but you go off and it's kind of behind 12th Street. You actually see the back of the building.
Yes.
Driving down 12th Street.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so our parking lot technically hits the Home Depot.
Okay.
It's so big, and that, I guess there used to be a grocery store there, and there's not anymore. But yeah, it's a great location. I can see why all those businesses are there.
Yeah, there's a lot of traffic there, right?
Yeah, it's so big.
So have you opened then?
Yes, we did our grand opening. It was awesome. We had a line of 20 to 30 people from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Wow.
nonstop, and so we actually had to. I guess I was going to say stop production, but close the store for about an hour just so we could catch up.
Oh.
And kind of regather.
Right.
And then we opened right back up. But we gave
because
away.
cookies actually take time to bake, right?
They do. And we had one oven, and we're doing about 60 every 15 minutes. So, you do the math and the numbers there, and it's okay. We have 30 people in line every second for 8 hours straight, and so
you then are a franchisee of your group, right? Is a major franchisee of Dirty Dough then?
Yes, yeah, we're a major, exactly, franchisee. We open up the different franchises for passive investors, so it's a cool opportunity.
Yeah. So how do people get connected to that opportunity?
Oh yeah, so they can either direct message us on our Instagram account, Dirty Dough or Dirty Dough, I was gonna say underscore, but it's dirtydough.ogdenut on Instagram, or they can direct message me personally on any social media platform, Instagram, LinkedIn.
We'll put your social media contacts up on the screen. So
yeah,
we're gonna take a break and we'll be right back.
All right, Senator Johnson, I brought you a little gift here just to sweeten your day. I'm one of the owners of the Dirty Dough on 12th Street in Ogden. And so if anyone would like to come stop by, check it out. But yeah,
thanks a lot. This is really cool. I feel like, I'm opening a box of diamond rings though here.
Hey, there you go. They're better.
Hey, they're beautiful. Beautiful. Look at that.
Yeah.
Thank you. Welcome back to PoliticIt. We're talking to Bronson Kaufusi, and we were just talking about your venture into Dirty Dough, but that brought up an idea in my mind. Most guys that are in professional sports, they make a lot of money, but they spend most of it.
Yeah.
Right. So how did you save and start investing in?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I've been asked that quite a bit because a lot of athletes, they're really into, mainly football. But for me, it was all about, okay, football doesn't last forever. My dad played football. His career was 4 or 5 years. He played at the Eagles and then went to the World League. And so for me, I just was so focused on football. I was like, there's got to be more. And my whole life changed, honestly, when I saw my teammate coming in on the phone every day to the locker room. And then he was on the phone all the time when he wasn't in meetings. And come to find out, he was talking to the different people that were managing his businesses. And that's when my mind was just completely blown. And I was like, what am I doing? Like, what can I do better? How can I run businesses at the same time? I know I'm capable. I just never had seen anyone actually do it. And so it was really, really interesting once I had that realization. But that's what catapulted me into all these different business ventures.
Right. You mentioned, so tell us a little bit about the real estate.
Yeah. So I noticed when I was in the locker room and talking to people, like, because in the NFL locker room, everyone's talking, what are you investing in? What are you investing in? Because, I mean, truthfully, as a college athlete, you're so young, you never had that type of money to even think about the word investing. And so now everyone's talking about it. And for me, I just was like, well, I know real estate's a good thing, but I don't own any. So then that's when I got introduced to my friend and partner, Jason Harris, who I just loved how he taught me about everything about real estate. And so I invested, and part of that deal was, hey, you're going to teach me everything as we go here. And so it was so nice because as the deal went, he was just teaching me how it all went and kept me on all the emails, and I learned so much. And so from there, I was able to bring this back to the locker room, and it was different coming from a fellow player and teammate saying, hey, I had this experience, I have money in on this deal, I have money in on the fund now, this is what's going on. The main reason why I like it is because he's a great teacher. And so being able to help those guys, just give them outlet to someone who knows about real estate, was something I just absolutely loved.
Yeah, you probably didn't have a lot of teammates that knew anything about statistics and data, huh?
No. Yeah, no, I honestly, I'm probably the only one on every team I was on, to be honest. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. So tell us how you got to Dirty Dough.
Okay. So it starts back in college. And in college, my dad called me in my sophomore year, and he said, Bronson, you had a really good freshman year, but this year you're just not performing the way that you need to play the next level, and you're not performing in the way that the team needs you to play. So we're actually going to lower your playing time. And so he told me that, and I said, well, what do I need to do? And he said, well, I want you to go meet with a mental strength coach. And I said, okay. And so I went and met with the mental strength coach at the school, and it changed my entire life.
Was this
honestly.
at BYU?
This was at BYU.
Yeah.
And his name's Craig Manning, and he's currently with the Bucks full time. But it changed my whole view of mental health and really the mental side of sports. I didn't realize that, you know what, this is a need. I didn't see it. My dad saw it. And so when I started meeting with him and learning these different skills and techniques and learning all these things where you can take your mental game to a whole new level, just like you take your strength training and speed training, nutrition, that was the last piece of the puzzle that was missing for me. And so that's what changed my whole career. From that moment on, I got better and better and better all the way up until I got drafted. And so I've always been big in the mental health space ever since. And so I love just the messaging of Dirty Dough, and I love how they're able to touch everyone. And so I ended up getting introduced to one of the current owner through a friend, and I was just blown away, and I just loved everything about it.
So do you guys, so your group really is a franchisee, and how many Dirty Dough franchises do you have? I mean, is this something that's just starting, or?
Yeah, it's just starting right now. So we have, our first is here in Ogden, and then we are going to be going to Las Vegas and putting up 4 there, and then we'll continue to scale all the way up. And then it'll be a great opportunity for everyone, just because we're able to, we have industry experts on our team who have done this with other cookie companies before. And so to be able to have them on the team, it creates a great relationship and management team to put them up.
And your role is getting investors together? Is that?
I do. We all kind of do that.
Okay.
But I do that. Yeah, we all kind of do that with Dirty Dough. I do that with real estate or with Harris Investment Group. But with Dirty Dough, I really like the number side.
Yeah.
So
the real estate, I just wanted to understand a little bit better. Do you have apartment buildings? What do you invest in?
Yeah. So our portfolio consists of apartment complexes, 100 to 200 unit or 100 to 300 units, and gas stations. And the focus is all tax liability. So we use the unique treatment of gas stations in the tax code because they get treated like oil and gas within the tax code. So they create large amounts of depreciation for investors that we can then 1031 exchange or take and move that money into an apartment complex, all multifamily value add. So we're buying kind of beat up apartments and really making it a nicer place for the people there to live, and making it nicer for the whole area, rebranding, and then
and then you depreciate it out, and then you move into another.
Yeah, exactly. So it's kind of it's a great model just because the focus is on taxes, and real estate is a great option for so many investors when it comes to, okay, I'm about to exit. This is what I need. Okay, I am a high net worth individual and I need to create, this much depreciation, and there's so many different ways to do it. But real estate is just so really, I would say, the granddaddy of it all. Yeah.
I'm curious though, that going back to the football thing, you had mentioned something about about when you signed. I mean, that must be kind of a surreal moment, because all of a sudden, I remember when I sold my company, and just watching the screen till they wired the money to me, right? And it was kind of like, oh my gosh. Yeah. So what was that like for you?
Man, that was quite the experience. So I remember getting a call, and I didn't recognize the number, and it was I was at my parents' house. I didn't invite anyone over other than my family, my mom, my dad, and my siblings, because I was really nervous. And I just remember getting a call, and they're like, "Hey, do you know who this is?" And I'm like, "No, who is this?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, this is the Baltimore Ravens. We're about to draft you." And I was like, did this just happen? And I mean, I was just cool to make it there. And you don't really think about the money and what comes in as a part of that, which is a signing bonus. And so I remember, a couple weeks later going and signing the contract, and I remember having my signing bonus as a check, and I didn't know anything about money and how money works, and I didn't even know
That's
what to do with it.
Probably more money than you'd ever had.
The most money I've ever had in my entire life, and I just didn't know what to do with it. So I actually carried it around in my backpack, surprisingly. And fortunately, I had friends in my neighborhood growing up that called me and, "Hey, let me help you out here. Let me get you lined up with a financial advisor. Let me help you understand how this works." And so that's a huge blessing for me, because that allowed me to really kind of hone in on, well, there's a lot that I don't know, but now I know a way how to learn about money and how it works and operates and ways to grow it.
That's cool, and you're helping others to do that too.
Yeah.
So we're about out of time, but why don't you just look into that camera over there and talk a little bit about this Dirty Dough venture?
Yeah, sure. All right, so Dirty Dough is a great cookie company. They do triple layer cookies, and they are popping up all around the US. And so I have a management team where we're able to go and put these cookie stores up for passive investors. and it's a great opportunity because everyone loves cookies, and and they also do really well on the business side. And so, if anyone has any questions, let me know.
Thank you. And we'll see you guys next week.